Welcome to the Vibe Lyrical Show, you all. We are so happy to have you. I am definitely looking forward to discussing the topic. As you all can see, it's storytelling, cultural portrayal. But before we get into that, how are you doing this weekend, Brandon? How has your weekend been? Today is Father's Day, as most of you all know. But how's
Yeah,
everything going, Brandon?
doing great. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. We honor you. This is your day. Society don't do that enough. Shout out to Project Nightfall or Project Night Fam. If you don't follow them, you definitely should. He did a short video on different cultures and Father's Day and showing that fathers go the extra mile and how even, in the media, like mothers are celebrated, but fathers aren't. But I'm having a great weekend. I went to the gym a little bit earlier. I relaxed. I went out and had a good time. I went to dinner with Joseph, a friend here that I met at the gym, and it's just been a nice weekend. And Debu's already trying to get up here. He's like, "Oh, you doing the show? I want to be on the camera too." Yeah, it's been great. It's been great. I wish that I was in Hawaii right now, though. Not just because I would be in Hawaii, but I would be there, spending quality time with my dad.
Yeah.
I'm going in a couple weeks.
Oh, yeah, yeah, you did say that earlier when we talked offline.
Hmm
So I can't wait for you to go. I know you're gonna enjoy yourself, catch up with your dad and stuff in
hmm
person. I
Yeah, and my mom and my grandma.
That's good. That's really good.
Mhm.
I see that you're dressed for a cultural portrayal. I feel like so
Right.
I love it. I love that you're kind of like blending in with the beautiful female in the back, our
Yeah.
African queen in the back, in our background there. So that's
hmm
good to hear, Brandon. My weekend has been good as well. I've been kind of chilling out this weekend as well. I will announce this now, but yesterday, my wonderful, amazing friend Chris and my amazing friend Steven here, shout out to them two. Um,
hmm
I took my graduation photos with them. So Christopher is not only a restaurant owner, but he is also a professional photographer, and he has his own little business with photography. And he decided to take my master's degree graduation photos pro bono. I mean, I don't know if that's the right terminology. I didn't have to pay. But he charges a good coin for these photos. But being that we're
hmm
friends, he we went on Fort Knox, and there's a gazebo on the base that was available. It was on a Saturday. Nobody was there, so I felt like a mini celebrity child, because went on onto the gazebo. He set up the
Nice.
lights, all the stuff that's needed to make sure the pictures come out professional. So Chris took time. He's been very exhausted with work and stuff like that. So I was really appreciative of him to take a Saturday morning through the afternoon. We started like at 10:30 and wasn't done till almost 2 o'clock because there were so many different poses he wanted me to do and different pictures he wanted to take, so I can weigh my options on which ones I'll take.
hmm
So be on the lookout, you all that follow me
Hey.
on my social media. But I will be posting the professional photos on my anniversary of my degree, which is June 29th. So be on the lookout for professional digital photo media of my photo in
hmm
my cap and gown and my hood. They really came out nice. So I'm looking forward to seeing the finished product after he retouches them and stuff like that. But that was the
hmm
only thing I really did this weekend was do that. And then today I've been chill. But yeah, I had a pretty chill weekend other than taking my Saturday to get those photos taken. And thank you to Chris because I didn't get to walk last year. As most of you all know, the COVID happened and I wasn't
hmm
able to walk for my master's degree. So for me to take pictures in the cap and gown was emotional because now I'll have the photos to go along with me earning that degree. So,
Hallelujah.
so,
Yeah.
so,
We might need to use Chris to get some professional photos for our website. So once you do your bio, I'm putting you on. Once you do your bio, then I think we should advertise it. Though I did put it on Facebook already. Just give you a little nudge. I
Okay.
just connected it. I connected it to our Facebook page so that more people could find us. And like eventually, I feel like it might be a good idea to get subscribers to our page, and then people can watch it wherever. Because some people don't have Facebook.
Yeah, being a Facebook shadow bandit, so.
I know.
I'm gonna say it. I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I guess before we get started, we'll be right back, and I'll go ahead and get started on our topic.
All right. Be right back. Bam.
Oh my God, I love it. The music just fits. Welcome back, you all. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started.
Could I jump in and ask one thing?
Yeah.
So if you're watching right now, please like and go out and share this. If you've seen our shows before, if you're here for the first time, welcome to the Biblitical Show. If you're a return person watching us and you've been blessed, uplifted, and edified, then please go out, like it real quick, and share it to whatever social media page you're watching it on. And I'm about to do the same, so I will be on my phone for a second. My bad. I just wanted to promote the show, Andre.
Yes, promote it anytime you want to, friend.
Yes,
I mean,
yeah.
Because Brandon knows once I get started, it's he'll have time to kind of do his other stuff. Because I did take a lot of notes. As you all know, I do kind of take quite a bit of notes in reference to specific topics. Because on our pop-ups, you all know that we just talk about pretty much current events and things that are on our minds. But on our Sundays, I come up with a topic, and then of course give you some academia, give you some things to think about, and then Brandon comes with the spiritual aspect of it. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. So I want to share a story with you all before going into the actual topic of cultural portrayal. So I want to talk about Ryan Brown. So as a teenager, Ryan Brown and 4 of his friends decided to go to a very old graveyard and all piled into an ATV at midnight. So this is dark at this graveyard. And Ryan stated that this ATV is only made for one person. So I don't know if y'all are familiar with ATVs, but only one person is supposed to be in the ATV. Okay. So, one of his friends, David, was driving it while the other 3 held on to the top of the wheel guards. So on an ATV, you have the wheel guards that guard the wheel. So David was driving super fast, y'all. I'm talking about flying down this path towards the graveyard. And Ryan Brown yelled out at him to slow down a bit because he was going too fast, y'all. It was just out of control. But Ryan, his friend that was driving it, ignored his request. And you know what he did, y'all? He cut the lights out of the ATV and decided to drive faster. So not only did he not slow down like Ryan asked, but David decided to cut the lights out on the ATV. So imagine just driving fast for one, then you notice that the lights he cut the lights off. So now we're just driving in the dark aimlessly, right? So Ryan panicked. I mean, any other normal person would panic because you're like, dang, so not only are you driving fast, but now you over here cutting the lights out. And he thinks that David is going to kill everybody, just him and everybody just going to be dead. Because he's like, I don't know what I'm looking at. And to think that they're at a graveyard. They're literally at a graveyard. So he continues to yell at David to slow down, but he kept on ignoring his request. So after that night at the graveyard, y'all, Ryan and David never really spoke to each other again. So David was not. He says this in the interview. David was not able to apologize for his behavior for driving fast, but Ryan was the bigger person and apologized for yelling at him. But their friendship basically fizzled out after that time, and they were like 15, 16 years old. So that particular story, though, stuck out to Ryan. It really did. And that is what led him to become a psychologist at Rice University in Texas. So he now understands why his friends, on why Ryan, on why David, I'm sorry, never backed down from the request. Or actually, I'm sorry, why he never backed down from standing up to David. So in this episode, I just want to let y'all know that we are going to examine how our societies gives us stories that dictate what we can and cannot do, and how cultural scripts shape our lives. So I just want y'all to keep that in mind. So I'll say that again.
Cultural scripts.
Cultural scripts, because it's coming, right? Scripts, yeah, SCR. Usually, you think about shrimp, scrimp. You know what they say, scrimp. So in this episode, y'all, we're gonna examine how our societies gives us stories that dictate what we can and cannot do, and how our cultural scripts, or I'll say cultural storytelling, shapes our lives. So years later, y'all, and thousands of miles from where Ryan had that experience as a teenager, France and Italy are battling it out at the soccer Olympics and playing in Berlin. So more than 700 million people across the globe are watching the soccer Olympics. The game is very close. So France scores first, and then Italy scores next. So now they're tied 1-1. Now y'all know, most of y'all should know or might not know about soccer, but I mean, getting 1 point takes about like 2 hours because, you know, you're kicking the ball down, up and down the field, and it can take a long time. So right now they're tied 1-1. So with just a few minutes before the end of the game, the captain of the France team, now this is all on camera, violently knocks out an Italian player to the ground. He headbutted him in the chest, and the captain was taken away from the game. So with the captain out of the game on the France side, France loses the game to Italy. So everyone asked, why did he do it? Like, what was going on? Because at the end of the day, you got 700 million people watching this thing, and no one knows why, like why this happened. Like, what was going on? So Ryan said that the France captain was playing his last game before retirement. So right before he retired, that was his last game before retiring. So throughout the match, he was sparring with the France player. So like throughout the game, they was talking smack. So just imagine like talking smack to one another, blah, blah, blah. All of its words, you know, fighting words, but not like nothing to be like literally putting hands. But anyway, the France captain months later revealed why he headbutted the Italian player. So the captain stated that he will give. So the captain said that during that last confrontation before he headbutted him, the captain told the Italian player that he will give him his jersey so he can frame it once his team wins. Kind of like talking smack, like once we win France, I'm gonna give you my jersey so you can frame it. But guess what the Italian player said that made him headbutt him? The reply he made was, "Well, I would rather have your sister."
Ooh.
And he said it in a sexual manner, like basically, I don't want your jersey, I want your sister. Well, that's what caused him to headbutt him. So, so 4 years later, after that incident, the France captain was asked if he would ever apologize to the Italian player for headbutting him, and his reply was, "I would rather die than apologize." Right? So the France president, so this is the France president, hailed the captain of the France team and said that he's a man of heart and conviction. So Ryan felt, now this is back to Ryan, the psychologist. Ryan felt that there was a connection between what happened at the soccer field and what happened to him as a teenager. So even with the World Cup on the line, the France captain did not back down when he felt his family was insulted. and protecting his sister's image or whatever. And David didn't back down, even as he was risking his life along with his friends during that ATV ride. So he didn't slow down. He turned off the lights. He was not backing down. Like, he was just straight up not listening. So both the soccer player and the teenager were following the gendered scripts of what Ryan calls honor culture. So I'm going to be talking about honor culture throughout the rest of the time that I'm talking. So Ryan stated that honor cultures are societies that put the defensive reputation at the center of their social lives. Did y'all get that? So this is what Ryan said. Okay, you know what? I need to find out the definition of this, because David, Ryan's friend, utilized his honor culture. So trying to be the big boy, trying to be brave, trying to be, and his bravery and his dominance, basically, if you think about it, he was risking his life along with the lives of his friends by ignoring Ryan's request to slow down. I'm a big boy, we got this. I ain't worried about you, I ain't listening. And then now we got the soccer player who literally headbutted the Italian player because, no, you're not finna disrespect my family. No, you're not finna disrespect my family name or talk bad about my sister. So Ryan, like I said, stated that honor cultures are societies that put the defensive reputation at the center of social life. They make that defense the highest priority that people have. So in each case, there was an element of defensive reputation driving the people's behaviors. So when you think about the actions of Ryan saying slow down, like slow down, and here you got David like, nope, I ain't listening to you, like, nope. Like, my behavior is I'm gonna act against what you say because which is honor culture. So the France captain and his sister's virtue being called into question, and he felt that he had to respond with aggression, which is honor culture. Like no, you're not finna disrespect my family. So he utilized honor culture to do that. So regardless to what anybody else felt like, oh my God, he headbutted him. Like, what the world's going on? Like, no, what you're not gonna do is disrespect my family name or my sister. You're not gonna do it. You're not. So in his mind, Ryan's like, dang, like, but the actions of this soccer player doing that and saying like, you're not gonna do that. Think about Ryan, who is straight up yelling at him to get his stuff together and slow down. And here you got David like, no, I ain't finna do it because of honor culture. So even though their situations are vastly different, it's utilizing the same thing, honor culture. So then his friend David driving at night to show his excessive risk, taking behavior to show how brave you are other examples of honor culture. So when you think about it, they both were using honor culture. You had Ryan sticking to his guns, yelling at him to slow down and not backing down. And then you had David over here being arrogant, right? So Ryan stated, this is the psychologist, Ryan stated that every human cares about their reputation and how people see them to a certain extent, though. So honor cultures put this normal, universal human concern on cultural steroids. Like when he said this, I was like, dang. So think about this. Honor cultures puts this normal, universal human concern on cultural steroids. They also create a set of scripts and demands on how you should respond when your reputation is at risk. So when you go back to David, his reputation was at risk because you got this person yelling to slow down. No, you're not finna make me look bad. I'm finna speed up on you. And on top of that, I'm gonna cut these lights out. Then you got the soccer player who the Italian player said, oh no, I don't want your jersey. I want your sister. Oh no, boo-boo. I'm finna headbutt you. I'm finna go on and get you together because you're not finna disrespect my family. Like it was just so appalling to me, to see Ryan tell this story and be like, wow, like those two stories are so vastly different, but they connect in so many ways. So he stated that when your honor has been threatened, you have to respond. And if you don't, this is an honor culture, you'll be known as the kind of person that could be teased or humiliated. And you can't have that in honor culture. In honor culture, no, you stick to your guns and you defend yourself. Now, on one essence, when you think about it, because let's be real here. In Ryan's situation, with David being arrogant and being that's the not so good honor culture, right? Because I'm speaking for myself now. Like, no, your honor culture has allowed you to risk the lives of yourself and other people. No, that's negative. But when I think about the soccer player, the France captain, he's like, no, that's my family name you're talking about. And yes, should he have headbutted the Italian player? No, maybe not. But most people would understand, well, okay, you talked about my family, finna catch these hands. Well, actually, you caught his head because he went boop and then, lost the game because of it. So Ryan, now this is some education for y'all. And, like I said, this is all educational. So Ryan also discussed that smaller communities seem like they should be safer communities because everyone knows everyone. So when you think about these small cities and these small towns in within the U.S., it seems like they should be safer communities. But if that community exists as an honor culture, then the fact that everyone knows who you are can be problematic for some people. Because when your honor has been threatened or has failed in some public way, everyone will know about it. So think about these small towns, these small cities within the United States, and I'm explaining further. But in a bigger city, you might have the same failure experience, but you can walk down the street and be relatively anonymous because you're in a bigger city. Where in a small city where honor culture resides, it's a lot harder to remain anonymous. So Ryan also talked about how in the United States, a lot of the roots of our honor related roots are from Scotland. He stated that a lot of those honor culture characteristics and residue from that are primarily in the South and the West of the United States. But in the North and Midwest, those folks come from England, the Netherlands, and Sweden. Okay, so he stated that those Scottish immigrants came to dominate the cultures of those southern colonies, which of course turned into states. And they were essentially able to create the norms and values that were able to stick in those areas. So those folks from Scotland created that honor culture that you see, those small states or those states in the South. He created that, right? So it is important to know that groups that are intent on defending their honor can also get trapped in endless cycles of violence and retribution, y'all. Like it really does. And honor cultures are widespread across the globe. So I'm not going to just talk about the US. They can be found in Latin America, they can be found in Asia, and even Africa. So they can also be found in Black and brown communities in the US, and they are primarily found in the South and the West, remember? So if you drive through states like Alabama, Oklahoma, and Texas, you can see honor culture reflected in the names of businesses and towns. I'm about to tell y'all some stuff. So researcher Michael Kelly found a family in Alabama, y'all. And when I tell y'all, this blew my mind. Michael Kelly found a family in Alabama that had a TV service from a place called Warrior Electronics. Warrior Electronics. Their dog, the dog was housed at Gunsmoke Kennels. Gunsmoke Kennels. This is in Alabama. And their home was built by a construction site called Bullet Construction. And their school and their children, I'm just giving y'all factual stuff. And their children went to a school called Battleground School.
Called what?
Battleground School. That's the name of the school. There's a school. Look it up, y'all. If y'all look it up, there's a TV service called Warrior Electronics. There's a dog house, like place where you can where people can dog sit your dogs, like a dog park or whatever. It's called Gunsmoke Kennels. And their home is built by a construction site called Bullet Construction. And their children went to a school called Battleground School. So just keep that in mind on the Alabama. So next, I'm going to discuss the surprising origin of honor culture and the profound way it shapes who we are and how we vote. So I'm going to move on. So Ryan stated that the conditions that social scientists believe spawn honor culture fall under two categories, y'all. He said that the first is that economically that people have to feel insecure, right, when they're in an honor culture. He stated that there is an unreliability of law enforcement and that the rule of law is not strong. And when those two things coincide, that makes social threats important to them. So honor cultures are often very polite cultures. So when you think about honor cultures, they're often very polite. But these politeness norms coincide with norms associated with responding aggressively to honor threats. So in the US South, so you're talking about Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, you learn how to say yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, please and thank you, all this stuff, right? But once you cross them, they're gonna come for you. I'm just what Ryan is talking about, right? So
Okay.
So folks with honor culture can be very sensitive to threat. And something can be very simple, like you looking at me, what you looking at? Very on edge. And this is what Ryan has studied with individuals from the South. So Ryan stated that in honor culture, it could mean that you lived up to the demands of what it means to be a real man or woman. So, but in other cultures like dignity culture, it could mean that they have value or worth because you're a human being. So in honor culture, you have to live up to those values as a man or a woman. But in dignity culture, they're just saying, hey, we just value who you are as a human being. It doesn't matter what gender you are. So researchers have conducted studies where they can see how threats to reputation can escalate. So they gathered men from the southern US with a strong honor culture and men from the northern US where they're less strong were insulted by an actor. So I'm gonna explain it to y'all. So the actor disappeared behind a locked door. And after the insult, this is the insult that took place, they were supposed to walk down a long corridor with chairs in the way, but encounter a large man coming their direction. So just imagine the study basically shows that they're walking down a one corridor where they're insulted by one actor. Then after they're insulted, they're supposed to walk down another long corridor where they're coming in contact with a large man coming their direction. But there's chairs in the way, and you got to kind of have to maneuver your way through. So to get out of their way, they have to awkwardly turn to the side, go around chairs, and all that. So the researchers were like measuring how the insulted participant acted. So the results came out that the Southern participants who were not insulted, now keep in mind, the Southern participants who were not insulted, they graciously just moved out of the way of the large man way quicker than the Northern participant. But once some of the Southern participants were insulted, they went toe to toe with the large man coming their direction, demonstrating that they are tough and that they're real men. So I thought that was profound, y'all, because in my mind, I'll automatically just assume like, oh, the Southern man gonna be being extra and all that. No, once that Southern man walked by, they weren't insulted by nobody. They didn't come across nobody. When they walked past, they moved. Oh, move out your way, sir. Oh, have a great day. Hey, how are you? All that. But if they were insulted prior to running into that large man, oh no, they went toe to toe with him. Because their honor culture is about respect, and you tried them, you push their buttons, right? So Southern men had a higher level of hormones associated with stress and social competition in their bloodstream. This is what Ryan has studied. And when me looking at this information, I was just blown away because I was like, wow. So prior to them being insulted, the Northern participants were not as easy on moving out the way. But the Southern participants were. But once the Southern participant was insulted by the male actor and had to go by a large man, they went toe to toe with him. I just thought that was just pretty interesting. But the Southern participants weren't. So Ryan stated that honor cultures put the defensive reputation at the center of social life. So what kind of reputation? That answer depends on if you're a man or a woman. So I'm about to explain some stuff. So if you are a real man in an honor culture, you are someone who is strong, tough, brave, and loyal and intolerant of disrespect. If you are a good woman in an honor culture, that means you have lived up to the social standards that you should be loyal to the family and sexually pure. Okay? So an example can be of a situation of a couple dating, and the man could possibly feel like the woman that they're with is flirting with another man. So it could start out with something like a simple look that the woman's giving or a laugh at another man's joke. So what Ryan found, I mean, it's something as small as that. So what Ryan found is that domestic homicide rates in the US are significantly higher among white males in honor states than white males in non-honor states. And he stated that women who endorse this kind of behavior believes and values of honor feel like those acts of jealousy and anger and even aggression and control are signs that the man is invested in her and loves and cares about her. So when you think about how the woman feels, they feel that that's normal. It's normal for a man to go crazy if there's a flirtation going on. They endorse it because their values of honor feel like, hey, they're acting jealous, they're acting angry. That's a normal thing because I feel like my man loves me if he acts like that, if he goes in like that. So that is how the norm can be perpetuated as the kind of things that can elevate the man in the eyes of women and how they show patterns of aggression, aggressive control with the woman in the relationship. Right? So Ryan discussed another experiment by other researchers where they staged a fight between a couple in a waiting room of a hospital. So it was to observe how someone watching it responded to it. In this experiment, y'all, there were women from honor-related cultures and non-honor-related cultures sitting in a waiting room, waiting to participate. So the female actor, so there's a female actor was approached by a male actor and was loud and aggressive with her, and also ended up grabbing her and throwing her up against a wall, yelling at her, cussing her out, and everything, and then stormed out. Women from the honor culture related culture was telling the woman, the actor, that she will be okay and that she should stay in the relationship and fight and work through their marriage. That is what the folks from the honor related culture said. Versus from the non-honor culture was like, girl, you need to leave him. He abused you. You do not need to be taking that kind of abuse. So Ryan talked about how another psychologist ran a study in Afghanistan where officers were presented with different scenarios of domestic violence. Now, Ryan stated that Afghanistan is probably the most honor-related culture in the world. It is. So, an example, if the Afghan man says to the police that he had a dispute with his wife because the woman was being unfaithful in the marriage, they will downplay the abuse and not arrest the man and then tell them to work on their marriage. That is what would happen in Afghanistan. And it could be a bald-faced lie. The woman may not have been unfaithful, but if they lie and tell the cops, oh, well, we had this dispute because my woman was unfaithful and cheated on me, then the Afghan police would just be like, okay, well, y'all need to work on your marriage, work it out, whatever, and really downplay the physical abuse. So Ryan was asked, yeah, you want to jump in on that?
No, I mean, I'm just.
Yeah, is studies. These are studies that are conducted with honor-related cultures. So Ryan was asked about the stand your ground laws. So Brandon, I'm pretty sure you know about your stand your ground laws. Yep. So the vast majority of stand your ground laws are in honor-related culture states versus dignity culture states. So these laws allow for people to live up to the honor culture that exists in those states. So there is a serious implication, y'all, of honor culture used in the modern United States. So I'm gonna talk about it real quick. So a friend of Ryan has a child who lived in Oklahoma who had physical tics and had Tourette syndrome. And his friend, Ryan's friend, had a fear of this information going public.
Mm.
So Ryan stated that one of the subtle aspects of honor culture dynamics is connected to this concern of being seen as weak. So it turns out that when people have a struggle with mental illness like depression, anxiety, if people are coming from an honor culture, they see it as a sign of mental instability and add extra stigma to it.
Mm.
And honor cultures can magnify this type of illness. So in honor culture, it isn't unreasonable to have those fears, but Ryan outlined another part that was so profound, y'all. He stated that if we see something as a sign of weakness, we are not likely to invest in resources to fix it, like mental health care, like seeking therapy. I mean, it's just so interesting. Like he tied the two, like, oh, well, yeah, they don't utilize the resources to fix it because they're scared to fix it because of the honor culture of not looking weak. So Ryan stated that there is so much pressure with living up to the standards with honor in your honor-related communities. So if they have struggles, they have fewer people to go to and get the help that they need because they're surrounded by folks that are just like them. They're all in the honor culture.
Mm.
So Ryan found that men in honor states, particularly white men, are significantly more likely to die by suicide.
Mm.
Ryan found that in every age group, white males in honor states are more likely to commit suicide versus white men in non-honor culture states. Ryan also talked about argument-based homicide rates and honor states are in those smaller and rural communities where everyone knows your name and knows your business. So Ryan was asked about gun ownership within honor culture. Suicide rates, he stated that suicide rates are higher in honor culture states. And the method those people use to kill themselves are even more intense. You want to know what it indicates, y'all? It indicates that if it's more intense, if they like slit their throat with a knife or anything, it's indicating that they were strong and leaving the world in a dramatic and violent way. So even leaving the world, even killing yourself, you're going to be dramatic in how you do that. Because in their minds, they're like, I left the world dramatic, strong, violent. I'm still strong when I left.
Wow.
And it's way more severe in honor culture states than it is in non-honor culture states. I thought you were doing the cross.
No, like I had some cat hair.
Okay, so lastly, the interviewer wanted to discuss the rule of honor culture in politics. So this is what Ryan revealed. He revealed that there is a strong honor culture based on his study in South Carolina, Alabama, Arkansas, Mississippi, and Tennessee. And strong non-honor cultures are in Massachusetts, New York, Hawaii, Connecticut, and Minnesota. Now, this is based on his studies. Ryan stated that the way honor and politics are related is not to connect the ideology of honor with any particular political camp, but to think of them as distinct ideological frameworks that are sometimes connected and combined. So he used an example of today's political climate being polarized and very partisan. And what he sees is that once you pick a side, you have a tendency to demean the other side. So he stated that once you demonize them, and if you combine that with the beliefs and values associated with honor culture, that is a bad combination. So Ryan admitted, he was like, he grew up in honor culture in the South and spent most of his professional life studying it because he was like, what in the world is going on? Like that moment of him being a teenager, trying to get his friend David to slow down and to notice that David was like, no, I'm not going to. He was like, I need to study this kind of stuff. Like, this is strange to him. And he was asked, what does it mean? So then at the very end, I'm closing out, y'all. So at the very end, he was asked, what does it mean to be a man or a woman of honor? This is in closing, y'all. So he stated that he likes the idea of loyalty and taking care of the people around him. There are other aspects that he doesn't like when it comes to honor culture. So he wanted to ensure that he raises his two sons that he has to be loyal and care about the people around them. He doesn't want to raise them to define their worth according to if they live up to these standards of being tough and brave and intolerant of disrespect, which is the parts that he's not really too fond of. So basically, in the end, he said it is important to recognize that these beliefs and values can affect you even if you consciously reject them. Because in that way, in closing, you can take a more deliberative approach to your life and think more objectively and carefully on who you want to be in this world. And that concludes my topic on storytelling, which is the cultural portrayal.
You know what I forgot to do?
What?
I forgot to be like, boop. And you didn't even remind me. So look, I'm gonna leave you right there.
So you're right here as I'm done already.
Yeah, well, because I got some questions. Not really questions, but like as I was listening, what I think is interesting, the honor code you were talking about is when it seemed to be in a negative way, it was like other things mattered outside of the person more than what the person particularly thought. And I feel like that is kind of like the prison that many people live in. Like, and I feel like we don't do that because honor code might mean not snitching, but if you don't snitch, maybe nothing's ever going to change. Honor code might be like, you know what? I got mine. I'm not in that situation over there. I'm going to let you go through it and I'm going to be okay. Even though by you joining a cause, whether it be on your job or at your church or wherever, right? Maybe by you joining, like let's say you're the informal leader and your voice has a lot of power. Let's say you got that anointing, but I like to say anointment. Let's say you got that ointment on you. You know what I'm saying? You got that all. But you're like, honor code says I shouldn't check my pastor. Ooh, even though he or she may be out of line. But honor code says I respect my elders. But your elders can lie, cheat, steal, and all that stuff too. You see what I'm saying? So I was just listening to these stories and I was like, oftentimes the person themselves are impacted, but impacted by outside influences, which then produce all kind of stuff. You know what I mean? All kind of anxiety, depression, all these other things, because that person really is not truly being in touch with themselves.
And that's what these stories really kind of outline. Like for Ryan Brown to be a white man growing up in the South, I was really proud of how he was able to study this because I think in his mind, he's like, okay, I'm going to study this in deeply because he was like, you know what? I'm going to look and see what this really is because this behavior is not normal. In his mind, he's like, it's not normal. It's it's kind of like weird to him. And he's like, why did my friend go against my simple request of slowing down? And then why did he cut off those lights when I was yelling and screaming and everybody was scared? I was the only one speaking up. So for Ryan was like, dang, like I'm over here fighting for all of our lives, but you're not even caring about that because you're the honor culture that he was developed in. I'm talking about David, when I was driving, was like, no, like I'm a tough, I'm brave, I'm all that. I ain't worried about what you gotta say. We'll be fine, whatever. I ain't studying you. And Ryan was like, wait, that's out of line with what I want my kids. That's why I said at the end, he has two sons, and he's like, I don't want to raise them that way. I don't agree with honor culture holistically, but I will take some of the good aspects of honor culture by being polite and respectful. But I'm not going to take that honor culture of, oh, well, if basically saying like, if you look at me crazy, I'm going to be ready to beat you up or whatever. Like, I'm not going to do that. But there's a balance with that. And I think that folks that are in the honor culture, and I mean, these statistics are kind of shocking because when I, and this is not to point out white men, but like, I was like, wow, white males, like to see that white males in the South are more prone to suicide because they want to uphold this certain standard of themselves because of
Yes.
image. It's really
Yeah.
interesting to me to see that, you know, and
Mhm.
I'll say this, my heart goes out to those folks, to those white men
Yes.
and from the South, that is statistically proven that you'll hide your pain to look good on the outside, but there's all this stuff, but like Brandon said, there's depression and anxiety and worried
Mhm.
about how you're looking because
Mhm.
your fear of being your reputation being tarnished. Like it also lets us know, people of color, how resilient we are, because most of us are like, "Psh, I don't care. Yeah, I may be slow
Yeah.
or I may have this issue, but it is what it is." And I'm not saying that
Mhm.
all Black folks are just out here bold, because, like I said in the study, it says that Africa, Asia, and I think it was one more that I gave out: Asia, Africa, and these are in other countries. Uh,
Mhm.
it was three that I gave out. I don't want to miss. I didn't want to miss that.
I know you talked about Sweden. You talked about Ireland.
But that was talking about the southern states though. But there's other countries that well, Afghanistan was one of them, but
Mhm. Oh,
it
yeah.
was Africa, Asia, and I want to say, I mean, my note, I have so many notes, it's not even funny. Oh, Latin America. So Latin
Mm.
America. So Latin America, Asia, and Africa are high on in the honor culture, where, you
Mhm.
know, like it's all about image and looking good and not showing any sign of weakness. But to
Mhm.
know that Scotland was really the well, people from Scotland back then really put that the residue of that in these southern states, and for the southern states that I mentioned to still be in
Mhm.
that way of life. Um, in on one aspect, it's on one aspect it's okay, but the other aspect of the negativity part with the domestic violence and all that, that's just unfortunate, because
Mhm.
there's no amount of like, I mean, I just encourage folks to not let circumstances in your life
Mhm.
dictate how you maneuver through it. Because
Yeah.
if you have a
Yeah.
relationship with the Most High, which I know Brandon is probably going to talk about, then you shouldn't have to
Mhm.
worry about your reputation being tarnished. Because at the end of the day, being authentic is not for anybody else. Being authentic is for you. Being real
Mhm.
with yourself, as Brandon kind of stated earlier, being true to yourself and true to what your struggles are, because
Mhm.
it's not only just embracing the good, it's also embracing the not so good. And I
Right.
feel that if you have a relationship with the Most High, this whole educational piece I gave, the statistical numbers and the data that is from this psychologist, which, I mean, I'm not saying it shouldn't apply, but he's just giving statistical data. But I'm just saying, like, you shouldn't let the statistical data that I'm providing be be in the way of how you live your life. And I think
Right.
that is what Ryan stated at the end. Like,
Mhm.
I don't particularly participate in the honor culture, but that doesn't mean that just because I grew up in the South, that I have to abide by that honor culture, because I want to be able to treat every human being with respect and not
Yeah.
go outside myself and not come out of character because of it. So
Mhm.
that's pretty much all I had, y'all.
Yeah, I mean that is great, and I think too, this is a perfect topic. I mean, we always seem to be on time, don't we? Like in a time where, like when I think about storytelling and cultural portrayal, like I really, really like as things progress, I've been watching all the interviews on critical race theory, trying to find out, the ins and the outs and the statistical data and or facts about it, and that it's not taught in K through 12 school, and how this is being used as an opportunity to not tell the story of American history. So critical race theory is taught at the master's and doctorate level, Andre. This is what I found out. That is a theory that is not new. It's been out for, we talked about this on our last pop-up, so please go watch that. But I think it's very important to talk about the cultural portrayal. Like it's almost as if what you were talking about with this honor code, white
Honor
Americans,
culture. Honor culture. You can
honor
say honor
culture.
code, but it's honor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Honor culture. Thank you for correcting me. I think that it's almost as if that honor culture, what's cemented in that too, is that we have to think Thomas Jefferson was a good man. We have to think that our founding fathers really, we go back to that Constitution, even though we're not created. It says that we are all men are created equal, but you was owning a human being at that point, a human being who happened to be Black. So when I think about storytelling and cultural portrayal, what better topic could we be talking about at this time? And it's like, that's why there's an immediate resistance to it. And I wish that you can be critical of critical race theory, but if you're going to do so, do it with knowledge and facts. Don't do it with lies, because that's not what's being taught in schools. It's not. That doesn't qualify. Like, it's kind of like you don't teach anatomy. Anatomy is not, you ain't learning anatomy in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. Right? Not in the same way. You may learn this is the arm, but you ain't going into the muscles, and this is the bicep and the tricep, and you know what I'm saying? Breaking it all down, doing diagrams. You're not dissecting no frog in the 3rd grade. Most people not. And if you are that smart, guess what? You advance to go to the grade in which you can now learn these things. But the danger when it comes to the legislation that Texas and Georgia just put out about critical race theory, the danger in it is the fact that now there's an attempt to rewrite history, even though they're saying that critical race theory is rewriting history. You know what I'm saying? Because now teachers, when it comes to Trail of Tears, when it comes to slavery in America, now the left and right limit, that term, the left and right limits is so broad and it's so vague, and they're not being conservative Republicans who are introducing these legislations and who are against critical race theory are not telling the truth about what it actually is.
Can I say something real quick?
Go ahead. Yes.
So it just like popped up. Like, I'm glad this topic is being discussed today. I mean, the timing, the Most High got us, obviously. But I wanted to say that it's so interesting how those states that you just mentioned are trying to remove critical race theory is the same equivalence to what I discussed with women from those honor culture states, where they're like, you know what, you was abused, yeah, you was beat up by this man in the waiting room, but girl, work on your marriage though, because you need to keep that. You need to keep that. So so it really the parallels of that is really profound in that, because you have folks trying to avoid the reality of things and not face it head on. So you have folks from those honor culture states, which unfortunately are in the southern states. These are southern states we're talking about, where you have women. It's studies showing that women are saying, no, girl, it's going to be okay. Work on your marriage. But you got folks from the north. The north honor culture was not so honor culture was like, girl, he beat you down, divorce. They was really going in, saying like, you don't deserve to be treated like that, because they're going off of dignity culture. I just think that is so interesting to me, that women in the honor culture, the southern states, in studies that show that they were trying to keep them together, where you have women from the north saying, no, girl, dignity culture exists here. Your dignity was not even considered in this. And it's just interesting to me. I just thought that was profound.
Yeah. And at the heart of that, from the spiritual perspective, at the heart of it, it's kind of like what popped up in my mind just now is woe to those who call good evil and evil good. It's funny that, it's honorable to stay in a marriage if you're getting beat down or physically or mentally or emotionally abused. Like, how is that honorable? And the reason why that matters so much is because sometimes, like, even in the Roman Catholic religion, it's the same way in a lot of it. Maybe they had, some of them have progressed, some priests have progressed, but largely, when my mom, it was in her 30s, and in situations, it was the honor code or culture where they think that, to stay in those situations is what you should do because God don't like divorce. And it's so interesting to me. And that's why, it goes back to like, what do you think you should do for your life? And it's interesting that when we talk about storytelling and cultural portrayals, it's like, why does that have to come from the outside in? it should come from the inside out.
Out, baby.
Like who you are as a person outwardly. And I think I am proud of the fact that we are talking about critical race theory. I am proud of the fact that Juneteenth is now a federal holiday. And I think that we just have to tell the truth about it. You can be against critical race theory, but don't lie on it. Don't lie about it and say, because if critical race, this is the last thing I'm gonna say about critical race theory, then I'm gonna go to what I have. But the thing that critical race theory does not do, it does not call Black people the oppressed. It does not call white people the oppressors. It focuses on the social constructs of the policies and legislations that have led to disproportionately affecting certain groups of Americans versus other groups of Americans. And it just so happens to be centered around race. But this notional idea that it calls all white people oppressors and all Black people the oppressed is not the truth. That's not true. So I just wanted to put that out there. But what I have today, happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. And what I want to highlight is something that is not culturally portrayed right in America. So the CDC, right? This is, first of all, let me tell you the source. Dr. Karji Scott. They call her the education equalizer. She's a best-selling author, and she does a lot of work in getting young students into college, and she works with Black students. So the CDC did a report on fathers' involvement that proves that Black dads are the most involved, and the Pew Research Center reports that the role of the American dad is changing. So this was published June 16, 2018. According to the study by the Centers for Disease Control, Black fathers were the most involved with children, no matter if they live with them or not. A greater percentage of Black fathers, when compared with white and Hispanic fathers, fed or ate meals with their children daily, bathed or dressed the children daily, played with the children daily, and read to children daily. The study also proved that overall, American dads are more involved with childcare than in years past. That's a good thing, amen. The CDC report complements research on fathers by the Pew Research Center, which reported the changing definition of fatherhood in the United States. And here are 6 facts. Over 50% of moms and dads reported that parenthood is an essential part of their identity. I would agree with that. Would you, Andre, what do you think about parenthood?
I would agree with that. And that kind of ties into cultural portrayal, because if you grew up a certain way, those values and beliefs 9 times out of 10 are going to stick with you, unless you as a child, based on your personality, have the strength to not adapt to that and grow out of it. And I feel like that's what happened with me. I'm nothing against my family, but I feel like my views on life is so drastically different than theirs. And I don't want to say that it attributes to me being gay and all that stuff, but I just think in general, the way my outlook on life is just so vastly different. And I think maybe because as I'm aging and getting older and really coming more and more into myself, and not relying on the people that raised me, I'm so different than them, like so different. But in most homes, kids really do blend more into how their parents were. A lot of stuff sticks, and for me personally speaking, not a lot of stuff stuck. Even my values, like some of my values have shifted. My beliefs have like shifted a lot. It's elevated, but it's shifted. And my family is just where I'm very different from a lot of my family members. I'm really not like really any of my family members, unfortunately. I say unfortunately because we're vastly different, and we avoid topics that we know we don't agree with, even though I want to have those conversations, but I already know it'll go south. So I just avoid it. But not to cut you off, but that's what I feel with that.
Oh, let's okay, we can land right there real quick. I think that it's very interesting because I would explain, like, I think that around 25 to 30, depending on who you are, I think, this is just a way. Once again, we love to hear other people's perspectives. You can let us know how you feel in the comments. But what I think is what happens around 25 or 30, that's when you really settle into your identity. Maybe some people even early. But 25 to 30 I think that's when you've accomplished some things. Maybe you're in your career already. Things are going well for you, hopefully. And I think there's this time where what's I think is supposed to happen, the culture that we supposed to have, the indigenous culture, is that's when the elders and the young people are supposed to, the younger people are supposed to come together and share even more and be even more honest, right? Think about it. What your parents probably shouldn't have been telling you how they was smoking weed, wilding out when you're 10 years old, right? They probably shouldn't tell you, their misgivings. But when you're in your 30s and you're going through things, or when you're in your 20s, right? It's time to be honest about the misgivings, about the mistakes and the bumps in the road. Why? So then I have your wisdom, if you were my parent or whoever my parent is, right? Like from my parents, then I have their wisdom on what to do. Like when I got divorced, my mom and I had conversation. She talked about, I ain't gonna put my mom's business out there, but she told me like what that process was like when she got divorced and all that. You get what I'm saying? So there comes a time where even I would say where parents have to put on the student shoes. And so if parenting is an essential part of your identity, you never stop being a parent.
I know, but I don't see that stop. I don't see a lot of parents turning into a student, because the older they get, the more stubborn. No shade on the parents. Hey, parents.
Yeah.
The more stubborn and more I'm the older, I know more than you type thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a recipe for disaster there. But
and I think that is the honor. That is how honor culture plays out in families, in my family, in your family. And I think that needs to be a little bit reversed, because if we have the Most High and the Holy Spirit in us, then who has the monopoly on all the wisdom? Your wisdom plus my wisdom will probably get us there. You know what I mean? Like I don't communicate with anybody I can't learn nothing from. So if you're my parent, who knows me better than you? And we should be having more conversation, more fire. We should be having more conversation, right? The more we go through things, the more experiences we have.
Yeah.
Okay, there's 5 more facts. Dads are spending more time on childcare and homework than in years past. Hallelujah. So all this talk, right? Like all the talk about Black fathers not being in homes, dads, the problem is dads not, but that's not, it's interesting to me that there's always a reason to blame the situation on something else and feed that cultural portrayal narrative rather than talk about the true statistics. So this is CDC and the Pew Research Center. Another fact, 48% of working fathers would rather be home with their children instead of working. So thinking children are burdensome or all this stuff, like the people who have children love their children and want to spend quality time with them. 58% of moms and dads ranked values and morals higher than discipline, emotional support, and income when asked which was extremely important for children. So values and morals, which would arguably lead to discipline, good emotional support, and lead to income, right? If you have values and morals, then usually like you're going to exceed in life. You're going to succeed. 70% of Americans say it's important for the baby to bond with mom and dad. These are great, right? We talking about something good on the Biological Show. These are good statistics. And you know what's crazy too? I have one more fact, but I had a little insert right here. I think, could you imagine that a lot of parents were thinking about this during the pandemic?
They had time to.
Mm-hmm.
They had time to sit with themselves and think about this stuff. So even fathers who were, I mean, shout out to all the fathers out there making the coin, being the breadwinner and all that. That's all fine and dandy. But I think that when the pandemic hit and a lot of their stuff was, well, and I'm talking about more of the fathers that had those jobs where they were out. Now they're working from home, or some of them not even working at all, depending on what they're doing. They're like, dang, I actually have to commend my wife for being here, or commend the babysitter, or commend some, because now these kids in my face, and now I realize how much I've missed as a father. I realize how much I did not see. Now
Yeah.
in a whole year, 2020, basically, I'll say the whole
Mhm.
year because only 3 months that we was, and they were really to sit with themselves. And I think
Mhm.
it's a blessing in disguise if you really think about it.
Yeah. And so look, okay, once again, that lands me on a good point. So look at the cultural portrayal, like Andre, do you know what the media is saying, when it comes to unemployment and this so-called labor shortage? Can you talk a little bit about that? Like, how is that being portrayed in the media in connection to what you just said and what we just talked about?
So I mean, you watch the news more than me, so
Hmm.
you be on it.
Okay, you want me to answer it or you
Yeah,
got it?
I mean, I can give you a small answer
Okay, go
on what
ahead.
I think it could be, but you can validate it for me.
Okay.
As far as now you're talking about as far as jobs, right? Like as far as like
Hmm.
where we're sitting at. So yeah, what I think it could be is like kind of what I said earlier about people sitting at home thinking about, thinking about where they need to be in their life.
Hmm.
I think that now with jobs being so difficult to get back into, the workforce is hurting. Like the in-person jobs is the jobs that used to be in person are not no more, and those jobs that
Hmm.
require you to be in person, now people have to find new careers in a sense for those ones
Hmm.
that like I mean construction is kind of coming back again. Construction workers are kind of getting back out there again, but there are
Hmm.
certain jobs where it's going to be hard, and I think that
Hmm.
um, for me, I think that the media the media definitely, and we both agree to this, the media definitely fabricates a lot of things
Hmm.
when it comes to um, what's going on. They'll give you what you want to hear, so they give you nuggets. We've talked about this
Hmm.
before, where they don't give everything. They're not really completely honest, and I think that we're going to be going back
Hmm.
to how things used to be, where things are not fully provided. And I think that's why it's important that on our show we give the raw facts, not just pieces
Yeah.
of the fact.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all I wanted to say about that. That's all I really have. But I think that
Yeah.
um, it's important to educate yourself
Hmm.
on what's
Agree.
really going on and not just only rely on the media.
Yeah. So one thing, and that's why I love a lot of independent media. So David Pakman, Benjamin Dixon, Dr. Rashad Ritchie just started the show called Indisputable, where he just be like punching people with the facts. That's an excellent. I've watched probably all of his clips. He'd be like, bop, bop, bop. But what's being said is there's a labor shortage. What's being sort of culturally portrayed is that Americans like got fat off of unemployment. This ain't really what they're saying, but it's really what they're saying. You know what I mean? Americans got fat off unemployment, and we got politicians saying we need to stop the extra $300 because people are making more money on unemployment and they don't want to go back to work. But I guarantee you, it's these things right here. Americans probably for the first time in their life had some time to think, time to spend time with their children, time to pick up a new hobby. And a lot of them picked up and moved out of New York and California. They moved out of the city because they realized, you know what, I'm working, but I ain't really had no time to really enjoy the life that I'm living. And so I think that is the thing. And on top of that, I think Americans are faced with going back to the workforce and making less than they did on unemployment. That is kind of a slap in the face. Is it not? Is that not a slap in the face that you work a 40-hour work week and you can barely afford things? Because what these politicians and the media and these other people are not saying in there is that people were in financial disaster and have been before 2019, before the pandemic. You know what I mean? Like, remember they kept saying the average American could not survive a $500 emergency. Remember they kept saying that?
Yeah,
So I think that is part of the reason, that people are not wanting to go back into the workforce.
that's good that
Um,
you're saying that because that's kind of why I was making the statement earlier about the media only giving you pieces of information, because that last
mhm.
piece of information you just provided would bring light to a lot of things, and that's the
Right,
reality of it. It's not even
right.
the fact that you're trying to say, "Oh, they're wrong." It's just you're just giving me pieces of information, not the whole thing.
Yes, yes. Hmm. So Black fathers, 70% were most involved and likely to have bathed, dressed, diapered, or help their children use the toilet every day, compared with 60% white and Hispanic fathers at 45%. But leave it to Fox News, leave it to most media. They'll tell you that the epidemic of blackness is fathers not in the homes. So on this Father's Day, let's remember the dads in our lives and appreciate the love, guidance, and support they provide to us. And here are some tributes to Dad. So this is about her father. And let's read this a little bit right here. The one thing my dad taught me was the value of hard work. If you wanted something out for it, this is something I've always done, and it's because of him. That's Jason Harrison, Fisk University. My dad has vicariously taught me several valuable life lessons. We are different in so many ways, yet the similarities we share and nurture are a strong work ethic and unconditional love and support for the family. Barante Deems, Lipscomb University. And I'll read one more. My father taught me to believe in myself at all times. Whatever I was into at that time, or at the time, whether it be track and field, swimming, medical school, or Alpha Phi Alpha, shout out to my dad who's an Alpha, he would assure me that I was able to do it. You can do anything you put your mind to, is something I grew up hearing. Similarly, always stay a little cold and a little hungry. It keeps you sharp, was another quote I keep in mind when trying to attack obstacles. I believe that my determination and confidence in myself comes from both my parents and my dad, has been vitally important to my development as a caring individual. I would not be the person I am today without the drive and determination that was instilled in me for achieving my goals. James Robertson, Meharry Medical College. So, okay, I'm going to shout out my dad a little bit then. So, what I think the most foundational, on time, relevant thing I could say about my dad is he told me, and I think I may have said this on the pop-up, so it's a repeat, but that Brandon, some people are just going to see you for the color of your skin. And the sooner you get over that, the easier your life will be. And to me, that was like one of the most foundational things he could tell me, because, it has been true far too often. And if it wasn't my skin color, maybe it was because I'm gay. And if it wasn't that, it was something else. But it's just like, I have lived a life where I have been successful. The Most High has kept me, but I have faced a lot of discrimination and continue to do so. And even in the military. And so to me, him telling me that kind of set the stage and prepared me for what I didn't know that I was going to face, but later bumped into. And I would say that is the importance of critical race theory, because it will prepare the younger Black kids and white kids. First of all, it will give everybody an opportunity to really know what's going on and really change, right? Change for the better. But it would let us know what we're about to go into and how we need to prepare ourselves mentally, physically, educationally, not just in the school system, but how to buy a house, how to, the importance of good credit, the importance, you know what I'm saying? It will help prepare us to let us know, like, what, the bank ain't on your side, and they will go out of their way not to give you a business loan. They'll give an Asian person, a white person, a Hispanic person a loan before they give you one. So when you go for, your loan, you need to look the part. You need to have your stuff together. You need to be well-spoken, be able to articulate, right? Have your ducks in a row. It will better prepare you to let you know that to be average is not really going to work for you.
Well, not for Black folks, it's not.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Really? Right. So, yeah, I mean, this has been an amazing show. Thank you, Andre, for the topic and breaking it down like that. And I just think my closing comments are, cultural portrayals are all around us and they affect us. And one of the biggest ways I think they affect us is Hollywood. And if you look at, before the war on terrorism and 9/11 and all this stuff, you can look at all the movies surrounding in the 90s, they perpetually showed us terrorists who were Muslim. When President Trump was in office, there was this thing called Black Identity Extremist. We go back further in history. Remember, they were like, Black people are raping and murdering. When Trump was in office, what did he say? Hispanics are this, they're murderers, or MS-13, they're raping and murdering. Like, they don't, when we think about the words and the pictures that we see and the movies that we watch, I would encourage everyone, if you don't know a Muslim person, talk to a Muslim person. If you know somebody from another country, ask them what their experience is about. That's how you're going to learn and get more wisdom. And I would encourage people to talk to people that they disagree with politically, economically, and really get after what, because guess what? The cultural narrative that they want to spread, whether that be the media, the government, whoever, it's always going to work if you don't talk to somebody in your community, if you don't talk to your neighbor. And I'll close with this by saying the Most High, through Yahushua, told us to love God with all of our being and to love our neighbor as ourselves. And if we do those two things, right? He said the second is like to the first. If we do those two things, so loving your neighbor is equal to loving God. And if we do those two things, then we fulfill all the laws of the prophets. And so let that be your culture, okay? Not your religion, but let that be your culture, okay? Wow. Remember how Oprah used to do that? Wow.
Yeah, it's like her wow was so dry to me. Like, what kind of wow is that? But on that note, that concludes our show. I do have some other topics in my vault. I'm gonna call my topics my vault, because I have stuff in my vault.
I like it.
And I know that the Most High is going to lead me in the right direction on presenting these topics at the right time. So,
amen.
We did show up at 4 today. We may be switching up the times that we come on. Even when we out of Facebook jail, man. But yeah, we thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to watch.
Thank you.
Even if you're watching later on, because it is Father's Day, we hope that you enjoyed the show and enjoyed our perspectives and got some education out of what we put out. Because this stuff is really going to help y'all. I really feel that it is. And but yeah, we appreciate it. And if Brandon don't have nothing else, I guess we can go. And yeah, I guess we'll see y'all on our next pop-up.
Yeah, see y'all on our next pop-up. And we'll promote it and let you know when we're going live again. We're on Twitch. We got an Instagram account. We got a website now that's connected to the Facebook. So even though we're in Facebook jail, we created a YouTube channel, and we're always trying to better the show to make it, more fun to watch, and we can give more to you all. So subscribe to our website. If you us there and all that good stuff. So we'll see y'all next time.